When you think about the war in Ukraine, usually it's Ukraine versus Russia, right? But things are getting a bit more complicated.
Definitely. And in ways maybe people aren't expecting.
Exactly. We're diving into something pretty unexpected today, especially for those of you tracking global affairs, maybe for your UPSC exams. It's about Chinese citizens captured fighting for Russia in Ukraine.
That's right. And it's not just a small detail. It really opens up this whole area about how the conflict's evolving, its global reach.
Yeah.
So yeah, for UPSC prep, this adds another layer to the geopolitics.
Right. It's not just the main players anymore.
We're moving beyond that.
So our mission today, particularly for our listeners deep into their UPSC studies, is to unpack this. We're using reporting from CNN as our base here. We'll look at these captures, who these guys are, what they say happened, Ukraine's take, China's response, and, the bigger picture of foreign fighters generally.
Trying to get beyond just the headlines you see in your daily current affairs prep.
Yeah.
Give you that deeper, clearer understanding.
Okay, so let's start with the individuals. Who are they?
So the two names we have are Wang Guangjung, he's 34, and Zhang Renbo, 27. And the really key thing, according to CNN, is this is the first time we've actually got documented proof, captures of Chinese citizens fighting on the Russian side.
The first time. Wow. That immediately throws up a lot of questions, doesn't it? Especially for international relations, a core UPSC topic.
Absolutely. And their stories, well, you have to take them with a grain of salt given they're captives.
No. Yeah.
But they do offer some clues. Wang Guangjun, he apparently spoke at a press conference Ukraine set up, said he saw a TikTok ad.
A TikTok ad? Seriously? To join the Russian army?
Yeah. Apparently after he lost his job back in summer 2024.
That's a very modern way to recruit for a war, isn't it? Suggests maybe they're targeting a certain kind of person.
It's an interesting point. Shows how these platforms are being used, maybe unexpectedly. Wang also apparently said something about military service being seen as prestigious in China. Maybe that was part of the appeal.
That prestige factor, coupled with unemployment, maybe.
Could be.
Yeah.
Especially if someone's looking for, a step up socially.
And then there was the money, right? A pretty hefty promise.
Oh, yeah. 200,000 to 250,000 Russian rubles a month. That's around 2,000 or 3,000 US dollars?
Which is way more than the average salary in China. So you can see the attraction, especially if you're out of work.
Definitely a powerful lure. But, and this is a big but.
He claims he never actually got paid.
Right. He alleges the Russians took his bank card, his phone, basically cut him off. Which points to that potential for exploitation we talked about, people being lured by promises that just don't, happen.
That's a dark side to this recruitment story. Important to remember that human element, especially for a balanced UPSC perspective.
And it has implications, beyond just this conflict, human rights, international labor.
So what about the other guy, Zhang Renbo? Different background.
Yeah, former firefighter in China. His story is slightly different. He claims he went to Russia in December 2024, supposedly for construction work.
Construction work?
That's what he claims. But then somehow ended up enlisting the military and got sent to the front. It's sobering, isn't it, a firefighter ending up there?
It really makes you wonder about the circumstances, the pressures, perhaps misleading opportunities.
Exactly. And what really stands out from both of them, apparently, is this feeling of being lied to. The quote was, "Everything we heard from the Russians was a lie."
Disillusionment, then.
Seems like it. Wang even apparently said Russia isn't as strong and Ukraine isn't as weak as they were told, which is interesting.
Though, again, we have to remember where they're saying this. They are prisoners of war.
Absolutely crucial context. Their statements could be influenced by their situation. Sincerity is hard to gauge.
But still, the fact they both shared that narrative of being misled, it's worth noting. It gives a perspective from the ground, right?
It does. And they also apparently warned other Chinese citizens not to join. Wang specifically expressed regret, apologized to his parents, just wanted to go home.
So even with the caveats about captivity, as CNN notes, it's significant. Tells us something about the human cost.
Precisely. Okay, so shift gears. How did Ukraine react?
Well, President Zelensky didn't hold back. He's basically saying these aren't isolated cases at all. He used the phrase, several hundred Chinese citizens fighting for Russia.
Several hundred. That's a lot if it's accurate.
Yeah. He got more specific, too, saying Ukrainian intelligence has info on 155 Chinese nationals specifically, but they think the real number is higher.
So Ukraine is pushing this narrative of a larger scale involvement.
And accusing Russia of systematically recruiting them, maybe even using social media inside China, like Wang's TikTok example suggests.
Yeah. And is Ukraine pointing fingers at Beijing directly?
Zelensky said they're looking into whether the Chinese government is involved, but no proof presented yet. But the accusation itself, especially the social media angle, highlights these modern challenges, right? Policing digital borders.
Definitely an issue in international security now.
Yeah.
Which, of course, brings us to China's response. What are they saying?
Denials. Firm denials of any state involvement. The foreign ministry spokesperson, Lin Jane, called Zelensky's claims groundless.
Sticking to their official line.
Exactly. China's official position is neutrality in the Ukraine crisis. They keep saying they want a peaceful resolution. They didn't start it. They're not a party to it.
Promoting peace talks is the message.
Right. And they also stress that they always tell their citizens not to go to conflict zones, not to get involved in foreign military stuff.
So acknowledging the individuals might be there, but purely in a personal capacity. No state approval, no official program.
That's the line. They're not disputing the presence of Wang and Zhang, just any state connection to it. It's important for them diplomatically, of course.
Especially now, with all the scrutiny China is facing from the West about its ties to Russia.
Yeah, the trade links, the tech links, especially that dual-use technology issue, stuff that could be used for military purposes.
Exactly. So if it came out that there was large-scale, organized Chinese participation in the fighting, that would really ramp up tensions. It would undermine their whole neutral broker image. That's a key dynamic for UPSC followers to watch.
Okay, so China denies it, Ukraine accuses, but these guys are there. It makes you think about the wider picture of foreign fighters in this war, doesn't it? It's not just these two.
No, not at all. And it's fascinating how different the approaches seem to be. Ukraine, early on, set up that formal international legion.
Right, for foreign volunteers, people from the US, UK, Canada, France. Lots of places. Often seemed quite ideologically driven.
Yeah, it was an open, organized effort, part of their push for international support, legitimacy.
Whereas Russia's approach seems much more ad hoc, maybe even coercive sometimes.
That's what the reporting suggests, recruiting labor migrants, people from developing countries, even prisoners, often with these big promises, money, residency.
Citizenship, even.
Yeah. And the list of nationalities reportedly involved on the Russian side is quite diverse. Central Asians, Ghanaians, Iraqis, North Koreans.
Indians, Nepalese, Cubans, Syrians. It points to a different strategy, maybe more about sheer numbers than ideology.
Could be driven by manpower needs. And some of the specific cases are quite stark.
Like the North Koreans, there were reports of soldiers captured, involved in logistics, but also talk of thousands being deployed, and casualties.
Yes, those reports are out there. And the implications of North Korean involvement, that's a whole other geopolitical angle, obviously, for the Korean Peninsula and Russia-NK relations.
And the situation with Nepal and India you mentioned earlier, that sounds really concerning.
It is. Nepal confirmed its citizens have died fighting for Russia. They've actually asked Moscow to stop recruiting Nepalists and pay compensation. India has raised similar concerns, citizens being tricked, thinking they were going for security jobs, ending up in the army.
So these third-party countries are getting drawn in, diplomatically at least.
And dealing with the human cost. India asked Russia to halt recruitment and help get their citizens back. And then there's Cuba.
Uncovering a human trafficking ring. Sending Cubans to fight.
Yeah. It just paints this picture of potentially exploitative recruitment targeting vulnerable people, maybe.
Which brings up that difficult line, doesn't it, between someone choosing to go and someone being effectively forced or tricked into it, especially if they're desperate economically.
Absolutely. That spectrum, from volunteer to, well, coerced recruit, is really important to understand. Plus, there are reports these foreign recruits sometimes face mistreatment from the Russian side, too.
So what does this all mean diplomatically, geopolitically? Recruiting from neutral countries must cause friction.
Oh, definitely. It can lead to disputes, damage relationships. For China, specifically, if proof of widespread organized participation emerged, it could really hurt their standing with the West, undermine that peace broker role they're aiming for.
It could really shift things.
Potentially, yes. Alter the geopolitical map and China's place in it.
And Russia's reaction to Zelensky's claims about the Chinese fighters?
Pretty much dismissed them. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov called them inaccurate, stressed China's balanced stance, and reaffirmed the Russia-China partnership.
So from Moscow's view, a few individuals don't change the bigger picture of their relationship with Beijing.
That seems to be their public position.
But, as CNN wraps up, even if these two captures don't prove state sponsorship by China, It shows the war is pulling in more actors, right? From further afield, makes it even more complex.
Exactly. The scope is expanding.
Yeah.
And that has implications for how long this might go on, how it might eventually end.
So just to recap for everyone listening, especially our UPSC aspirants, we've got these 2 Chinese fighters captured. Their stories suggesting maybe economic motives, maybe misinformation, definitely disillusionment.
Then you have Ukraine's strong accusations against Russia for recruitment and hints towards China, alongside China's flat denial of any state role.
And underpinning it all is this broader issue of foreign fighters, Ukraine's formal legion versus Russia's seemingly less formal, sometimes coercive methods, drawing people from all over.
Understanding these different facets, the individual stories, the state responses, the recruitment methods, the geopolitical fallout, is really crucial for your UPSC prep. It touches on IR, conflict studies, global ethics.
It really is a significant development to track for your UPSC mains and prelims. It covers non-state actors, geopolitics, information warfare, all vital areas.
And it leaves us with a question, maybe something for you listeners to think about for your ongoing studies. How does this involvement of citizens from officially neutral countries potentially change the war's path, or even the global political landscape? What does neutrality even mean in this interconnected world?
Definitely something to mull over. We hope this deep dive gave you a clearer picture of this complex story, useful for your daily UPSC current affairs work. If you found it valuable, please do hit like, subscribe for more deep dives, and definitely leave a comment if you have questions or thoughts.
And just as a reminder, all the details we discussed today are based on the reporting by CNN.